The alien war leader walked through the ruins of his attack. Razing of the city was a calculated risk to quell the uppity primates. His people seeded them for a purpose, but the Empire's distraction from keeping them in line had let them develop disgusting thoughts and ideas. He looked over as a primate coughed. Its red blood splattered the floor between them. Foolish monkey. You should have died. But redundancies for resistance were always in your genetics. The primate looks up, his hand holding his small communication device up, and spoke through its pain. Fucking ugly alien, why did you attack? The alien chuckles and activates his translator so this primate will understand him. Because you monkeys had the misfortune of passing your threshold and ironically not obliterating yourselves, he snarled, walking towards the dying primate, his spear held tight. We seeded your miserable kind on this world, but we had other things to handle when your threshold for upliftment and enslavement came and went. Now we will either subjugate you by force or eliminate you as a failed seeding. So, we are crops? Beasts for you to use and discard as wanted? Why not talk and speak with us? Offer us a chance for the stars as friends? The primate says through bloodied teeth, its strength and resilience failing slowly. The alien chuckles, friends? Do you think we would let you think yourself equal? Do you think the Empire believes in your miserable notions of egalitarianism and democracy? He readied his spear but stopped, angry at the hateful glare of this dying primate. You think yourselves able to defeat me? Your kind are failures. You are bred and genetically engineered for violence and warfare, but you have stagnated in complacency and peace. Look at your world and tell me you think your world peace and equality is a path to advancement and power? The primate coughs and wheezes as it chuckles in pain, its body at its last legs. I don't know what is funnier. The fact you think you can beat us? Or the fact you had attacked the most peaceful city in our world because you think this is our seat of control? The primate turns the communications device towards itself and smiled. Ladies and gents, fuck 'em up for us and make them regret attacking Tokyo, the primate says before breathing out his last breath. A second later, the alien began receiving alerts of incoming ordnance from 7 directions, 2 of which were nuclear, his ground forces at the edges of the city receiving fire from every direction, and 3 of his 6 cruisers in low orbit being hit by kinetic weapons with enough force to knock the shields offline. Had he been wrong? Did they never pass their threshold? Were all their efforts for peace just them delaying the eventual obliteration of themselves? And if so, then what had he unleashed? His chances to answer his questions were cut short as a missile with a blue star slammed into him and ended his life, and a ship from a tiny nation got to tally the kills of the invading aliens commander among its small but impactful list of kills. The alien commander sat back on his throne, watching the 5 officers and the tech thralls of his bridge at work as they prepared for their last FTL jump to the backwater system his brother had disappeared in. He knew of this backwater, PS-328C, a system with a Class 5 death world, seeded with a battle thrall race of primates for boreal combat, which made the need to check on his brother all the more mysterious. His brother has succeeded in reaping no less than 600 races so far, which means this backwater making him go dark is shocking at most and suspicious at least. His eyes notice a bit of confusion in the sensor station, and being in command means he needs to know why. Turning his head to the officer in charge, he speaks with the authority of his station. Lieutenant Wustik, why are your tech thralls acting out of order? The lieutenant turns and seems nervous and confused. Sir, we are detecting 40 arrival signals on our entry point. Echoes suggest the arrivals are from PS-328C, sir. Who would dare to reach this deep into our empire? He roared, demanding to know which of the Empire's enemies would be so brazen. We don't know, sir. Of the 40, we can only identify 6 of them as your brother's ships, sir. The lieutenant responded with a bit more fear. He sat back, his mind racing with questions, but he wasn't going to take chances. His brother would have followed protocol and sent a single data runner to carry a message. Sitting up, he spoke aloud. "Prepare for combat and deploy all wings," he ordered, looking at the tactical screen as it pulled up his fleet of 6 cruisers and the arrival zone of the unknown vessels. As the unknown vessels arrived, the tactical screen started to try to identify them against known vessels in the galaxy and identify their transponders, but was having difficulties. Like the shipboard AI couldn't make sense of the information before it suddenly clicked and the screen displayed the names of the unknown ships. He had no knowledge of Hiroshima or Nagasaki, or why they needed a second coming, or what a Tokyo was and why it was furious. But something that made his blood boil was the renames of his brother's ships. The Golden Ark was renamed to Fool's Gambit, and the Black Reach was renamed to Idiot's Resolve. Before he could give the order to destroy the insulting upstarts, the communications officer spoke up. "Sir, we are being hailed." "Sir, put it through. Let's see which enemy has new ships to their arsenal," he says, eager to find out to which of the other galactic powers he will be aiming his fleet at next. However, the face of a primate battle thrall of PS-328C was not what he was expecting, nor was that the signal was coming from a ship half the size of his. The primate was dressed in a primitive pressure suit of some kind and smiled broadly, revealing the row of sharp incisors and canines before it spoke, the computer translating the words in real time. "Greetings from Earth. We regret to inform you that you are about to trespass on United Earth territories. We recommend you turn around and order an emissary to be dispatched from your homeworld. Foolish monkey. Your fleet is no match for mine, even with my brother's fleet on your side. Surrender, and we will spare more than half your population." He growled back, his fury boiling as this thrall race had the nerve to tell him what to do. To the bridge's collected surprise, the primate spoke back almost immediately, suggesting that they, too, had real-time translation software. "I am sorry, but did you say brother?" Its eyes narrowed with a new expression, the computer interpreting the facial cues as hate. He was a bit off-put by how much this primate's attitude had shifted at the simple mention of his kin, but decided to wave it aside. "My family's noble bloodline is of no concern of yours, monkey. Surrender, and I'll be merciful in the execution of my duties." The primate frowned and looked away, its voice not being captured before it looked back and spoke. "I am under orders to offer you 2 more chances to turn around or surrender. Failure to do either will be considered an act of aggression and will be met in kind." "You dare tell me to surrender or flee?" he roared in anger. These primates were sapping his limited patience, and now have the gall to make demands like they were his equals. "Last chance, surrender or turn around and leave. United Earth and its territories are not open to your empire. Failure to comply will be considered a full declaration of war with intent to eradicate and will be answered in kind. You have 2 hours to comply. Watanabe out." The primate disconnected the hail, the ships arrayed against him showing spikes in power as they were preparing to fight. He stared at the display, stunned and in shock that a thrall race would dare to disconnect from him, to brush him aside in such disrespect of his heritage. Looking to the tactical display, he growled the next orders with malice and spite. "Destroy them all, make it swift, and let none escape." His bridge crew got to work, sending out the standard attack patterns, the movements meant to shield his cruisers as they got into attack range. His ears raised as his excitement over the coming slaughter grew. His tail wagged quickly as he was ready to see the primate's pathetic ship implode. But the sudden impact on his ship knocked him to the ground, his body feeling the motion dampeners catching the sudden deceleration just in time to save him. Looking up at the display with the state of his ship, he saw all his reverse engines had been destroyed. Not just that, 50 escort shield crafts in 3 lines were nothing but floating racks. "What the fuck just happened?" he roared, standing up again. "We were hit by 3 kinetic weapons, sir. We lost our reverse engines, and we are bleeding atmosphere index 3 to 11. The engineering officer said back in a panic, frantically issuing damage control teams with his neural uplink. Sir, they hit out shield reactor. It's offline. FTL, now! Get us out! He was attempting to scream as his main reactor was hit, causing his ship to disintegrate in a ball of plasma. She looked out over the control station. Her otherwise boring command of a defensive installation on a shipping lane had become a hotbed of activity as more and more Reaper and war fleets disappeared in the outer reaches of the Empire. And who was the culprit? According to Strategic Command, the Virillias. But she never trusted commands and looked at the rumors and gossip of the passing merchants. The gossip was hot indeed. According to them, a thrall race of her empire was in revolt and winning battle after battle. Their ships' IFFs show calls for vengeance and war. Primates from some backwater, the merchants wouldn't even think of shipping to. However, all of them spoke of the primates as kind and friendly, oftentimes demanding a single scan before sending them on their way. She thought it over, uncomfortable with the idea that these primates were letting her allies' merchant through even as they waged a war on her people. The food ships, too, had halted, along with every major resource her empire's colonies provided. The stockpiles in the center of the empire are more than enough to last for millennia, but the nobles, such as herself, hate rationing. Ma'am, we have incoming arrival signatures. Count at 45, a sensor officer said quickly. She groans. She doesn't have a fleet, she has a station. Yes, a powerful and heavily armed station, but still an immovable and static target. Power shields to full and activate the secondary and tertiary generators, and send a data burst to Central Command for immediate reinforcement. She barked back, her eyes reading the names of the ships entering her sector of the Empire. Teeth clenched tight as she recognized some presumed lost cruisers from the Reaper fleet that vanished a month ago to the battle dreadnought that was part of the last war fleet that lost contact with Command. Her mind noticed a pattern in the naming scheme. Every captured ship of her people was renamed with some kind of insult to her empire, and every ship of these enemies was named in a vengeful manner. This isn't a revolt, it was a thrall race fighting back. But why and from where? Ma'am, we are being hailed, the communications officer said in confusion. Put it through. I will see my opponent's eyes and judge their merit. She said back and watched her terminal flickered to life with the image of a primate, the computer identified as a seeded thrall race from PS-328C. Greetings, Admiral Vostrium Voljualman Tiasmas, the primate said with a wide smile. I am Admiral Kenji Watanabe. I am under order to deliver the United Earth's terms to your emperor. We grow bored of your arrogance and inability to put up a fight. We are willing to make peace, the primate said. His tone and voice sounded tired and uninterested. Bold of you to presume you can defeat us. The forces you have been picking off are barely full fleets, but small detachments from our main forces, she says back with a snarl. She hates it already, for it to sound so underwhelmed by the sight of her station was irritating to her. I will commend you on accomplishing this much. To have succeeded in eliminating 7 fleets is impressive for you backwater monkeys. Really? The primate asked, seemingly shocked and confused. You think kicking your ass into space dust would be hard for us? Of course. I will congratulate you on figuring out space travel and FTL technology even if you reverse engineered it. But your effort to deny your purpose is over, surrender, and I will personally see to your race's ethical and fair treatment as honored thralls instead of the common grunt, she said, making no plans to honor such promises. Her eyes dart to the countdown for the reinforcement fleet from Central, their arrival vector hidden behind the moon her station sits beside. Oh, wow. That sounds so tempting, the primate says, then orders someone off screen. Call in the rest of the fleets. It looks like we are doing this the hard way. before it disconnects the hail. Her eyes go wide in fury. Was she just ignored? Her attention was broken as her tactical display started to beep as more and more arrival signatures pinged into existence. The count of incoming ships, from the same vector as the primates, grew steadily as their battle line stretched wider. Her heart beat faster and faster as the count surpassed her reinforcement, and she ordered in a small panic, "Data burst central, we are about to engage an invasion force." Her order was about to be carried out when the station rocked. "Ma'am, they just took out our long-range transmitter," the engineering officer spoke. "It was a dual kinetic attack from their flagship, milliseconds apart." Her eyes went back to the tactical display as an armada of 400 ships was idling in the void of her sector. Even if the ships of the primates were half the size of her people, the range and firepower each possessed was far greater than she imagined. She swallowed hard as her mind raced not for honor but survival. A disgusting thought of getting into the primates' demands sent a chill down her spine. "Ma'am, they are hailing us again," the communications officer said, clearly shaken by the precision and firepower of the primitive apes. She nodded and waited as the image of the primate came on again. Choosing to be the first to speak, she cut the primate off. "You have made your point, monkey. I can see now why you don't fear us. But the golden armada of the throne world will not suffer any damage from your weapons, and they will destroy you unless—" She swallowed, unable to believe she was about to make such a treasonous offer. "You have a noble speaking on your behalf on your ship." "The Golden Armada," the primate said, pulling up some kind of crude data storage device and swiping its finger on it. "Oh, here, 500 ships, mostly supercruisers, and supported by the Halo, a high-power orbital ring, around your homeworld armored and armed to the teeth." "That Golden Armada?" it asked. She slowly nodded. "Yeah, let me make it clear. We will not be entering your home star system because we don't need to kill your empire," the primate said with a small apologetic smile. "See, we are here to make you deliver our demands. Failure to comply will result in the deployment of a superweapon into your home star system that will destroy everything in that space sector," it said far too coldly to be a lie. She went pale, not expecting such a brutal and honest response. "We pick you as our messenger because you are the Empress's sister, so here is the deal. Peace or eradication. And remember this, the weapons I used to knock out your long-range transmitter was a basic weapon platform on our warships, so you can just guess how accurate we are with our actual big guns," the primate added quickly. She sunk into her throne, her mock drailing from the idea of actually asking the Empire to recognize these apes as equals, if not superior. Her hand hesitantly opened the file the Empire had on them and drew a shaking breath as the file ended its active recording during the height of an ape called Alexander and his conquest. Her mind realized her kind were unable to reap them at their threshold, and they had achieved a theorized possibility. A thrall race meant for war that didn't obliterate themselves with nuclear fire. Her will was shaken, her mind understanding the gravity of the situation and the danger this ape posed. But she filled her lungs and looked up with a determined look. "What are your terms, human?" The primate smiled wide. "Nothing much, I'll transmit our demands now.